Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lip Service, a podcast of our coming out stories. I am your host, Pam Myers, bringing you stories from our LGBTQ community from around the globe. And today I am here with Albert. Albert is coming to us from the Philippines and has a great story to share. So thanks so much for joining, Albert.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Yeah. Now we were chatting and your family is from New York and then you lived in Dallas for a while, Arkansas, and now the Philippines. So tell us how that whole journey began for you.
Okay. I was actually born in the Philippines, and my grandmother and the rest of the family on her side uh, immigrated to the New York area.
Oh,
So my mom decided to stay behind, being that she was at that point married to my father, who
mhm.
was actually in the military.
Okay. Mhm.
And hence begins my story. Born and raised in the military was the kind of life that any kid would have loved, except that in my case, by the time I was 9 and ended up in a boarding school with a bunch of other kids my age and older,
Mm.
where I guess they discovered me uh, as a toy, you know.
Ah,
uh,
uh-huh.
and they were older, and I was the youngest of the bunch, and I was a chubby kid.
Okay.
Uh, so I ended up at 9 having a boyfriend who was a sixth grader, and I was a
Mhm.
third grader, and he was a husky kid. And for about 4 years, we've been fooling around with each other, and it wasn't like we were thinking we were gay or anything like that. It's just that when we do sleepovers, it was becoming more common. And for us as kids, it was just as simple as, "Hey, I'm sleeping over," and we're inside a base, so we can just walk over to our friend's house any time of the day or at night.
Right.
It was a secured base,
Mhm.
and we just gravitated around all our other friends, and I guess they didn't know what happened under the sheets.
Yeah.
Um, so that was the beginning of it, and I didn't have a word for it. It's just that I have a friend who actually is, by any term, is my sexual partner.
Mhm. Okay.
So moving on, there was a lull there, and I started dating girls. And then by the time I was in college, I have neighbors that I played soccer with, and there were younger ones that were like somehow when I this one particular one, whenever I go swimming, he always ends up in the shower, just gravitating around when I'm taking a shower.
Yeah.
And I was a swimmer back then, so of course I was muscular and a jock basically.
Mhm.
And he was a chubby kid. So by the time he was 18, he comes up to me and he says he wants to hang out with me. And I kind of wondered what he meant by that
Okay.
because he wasn't in my immediate circle of friends.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, because I was older and he was a bit younger. And
Mm.
so about 4 years younger. So by the time he started saying that, okay, well, he gets to ride with me in the car, hang out with my other friends, and then the sleepovers continued and all that.
Mm.
So we ended up being together also. But again, there's no discussion of whether or not this is a gay relationship at all.
Got it.
We didn't have any gay friends.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I didn't know any other gay except for the drag queens who came during every year. We have what we call a fiesta.
Uh-huh.
Uh, it's the base anniversary or something. I don't know, but every summer there's this big to do with Ferris wheels and the circus kind of like you have in the U.S. where you have little circus in the suburbs or
Right.
even in the in the other states in the Midwest or something. Where you have the clowns come in.
Uh,
there's this roulette kind of game where you play, and there's a drag queen. Uh, she would be the host, and so that's the very first thought of mine as far as gayness. And then there's this person that comes around, and we called her Manang, which is a term of endearment used for an older gay, for an older woman.
Okay.
Okay, and she's a trans woman,
Okay.
and
Did you
so
know
they're
that?
gonna.
Did you know she?
She's. I knew she was a man presenting as a woman,
Okay.
and we called her Manang, and she sold shrimp and crabs and seafood.
Okay.
She would go house to house and sell us this, and she was like the nicest lady there was. Okay, so that is my second experience with someone of that rainbow connection, and I had no mentor that was out and gay.
Got
So here I am moving to New York, no idea what at all about that. I ended up growing up in the New York club scene as a swinger, and
Mm-hmm.
I ended up with my bisexual wife
Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
at swingers. And so, well, then suddenly my world started getting bigger. I found out about swinging through another couple who ended up seducing me
Mm-hmm.
to party with them.
Mm-hmm.
And then they started taking me to all these parties. And the only way for me to end up with myself going to a party is if I had a partner. And so I was dating this gal, and she was actually bisexual. So we both knew we were bisexual. She was a Chinese American,
Mm-hmm.
and she was a massage therapist. And I thought, oh, perfect. You would be perfect for this event. Why don't we go? So she comes in as a massage therapist. I come along with her as her sidekick doing massages. And then eventually, um, remember that movie Ice White Shut?
Yes, I do.
Okay, let me tell you this. We were part of that scene.
Okay. What does that
We
mean?
were the
Uh-huh.
we were the service people of that.
Oh,
We
wow.
were the massage therapists during the events.
Got it.
Ain't that something? So at this point, I'm not even aware of queerness. Okay. All I know is swinging, and all I know is that,
Mhm.
in my childhood. And then suddenly, all this chubbier bisexual men during these events would
Okay.
come on to me. And I started realizing, wait a minute, of all these men here, they're the ones that are actually that I find interesting.
Mm.
And so, like, they would. Here's the thing with them. Okay, this is how bisexual men are. They would come to your house saying, "Hey, man, let's watch a game. I'm bringing a six pack. Will you be there?" I said, "Okay." So we start having our, whatever ball game he wants to watch. I'm not really a football kind of guy, but
Uh-huh.
I would like play along. We would have our parties. It's just all this married men having sex with each other. And I'm like, okay, this is something different, right? All right. So
Uh-huh.
um, I ended up working for a company that I needed to get a promotion, but it needed to be in St. Louis. And
Okay.
so I took the job. And when I moved to St. Louis finally, that's when I associated and learned about the Bear organization.
Okay.
So this is now 2001.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
2001 St. Louis, there's a bear group called the St. Louis Show Me Bears.
Okay. Okay.
So
Great.
I joined in. And then I ended up meeting a bunch of bears, and they started giving me a stack of VHS tapes to catch up on queerness. So part of that was the Bette Midler movie from California.
Oh.
Um, there's another queer movie from New York.
Hmm.
I forget what it was, but it's a really cute movie about some guy who is coming on to being gay, and meets a bunch of gays in New York, and they had this. It's a really interesting movie, but about coming out, and
Okay.
so and then there wasn't much of bear films at the time, okay,
Okay.
but there were Chub and Chaser movies.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh. So this is also the dawn of me using the internet for porn. And so here we are. They give me a stack of all these queer things I need to catch up on, and books. uh, and so I started living the life of a gay bear, basically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, okay, here's me and Kevin moving to the Philippines. We got here and we were wondering, okay, is there a community there?
Mm-hmm.
All right, that was one of the biggest questions. Part of our decision to move here
Yeah.
was our friends in Dallas would have this Sunday barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
In whoever's hosting would have a swimming pool, and of course in Dallas, uh, unbeknownst to a lot of people perhaps that are not from Dallas, us of a certain age don't hang out in bars.
Right.
When you go to a bar in Dallas, it's people from other places that you see
Right. Mm-hmm.
because the locals host each other in their backyard.
Right. Yes.
And so we had a big group of people gathering every Sunday, and it's a potluck basically. And we've talked about where to retire. So for quite some time there, a friend of ours owned his family is Costa Rican, um, and they have a resort. It was a ready resort for us to retire in. So we never really discussed any further than okay, that's where we're all going to retire.
Okay.
Okay, this
Mm.
is us coming on to almost 50 at this point.
Okay.
Uh, and so one of them says, "Hey, Albert, don't they speak English in the Philippines?" And I said, "You know what? Yes, because that's how they teach you in school."
Okay.
And somehow he knew, and he's at this point, I guess the call center thing was going on. And
Uh,
so he started, negotiating for their company in the Philippines. And he says, "Those guys speak English better than some people I know." And he's like, "Do they speak English in the Philippines?" And I said, "Yes, we do." And he says, "Well, why don't we consider that?" Because a bunch of our friends in Dallas said the one thing about Costa Rica that um, they're worried about at age 63 or onwards,
yeah.
having to learn a new language,
Oh, yes. Okay.
you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Right.
So otherwise, we'll end up in the resort and not be able to communicate as well outside.
Right.
Now, if the Philippines is the kind of country where everyone speaks English, then maybe, just maybe, it might be something we should consider. And
Right.
I'm the one that writes the business plan for the group. So I had to retool everything all over and then figure it out myself because the Philippine record keeping in government is like 3 to 5 years old. They're not a little bit more current.
Okay.
And so I decided on one of my trips to come and investigate. And so my husband and I started investigating by uh, being more hands on. We would go to offices like the tourism office and find out if they have data that we can use in our research.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, visited a couple of places here to consider for retirement. And so the top three things we were looking for were actually community, cost of living, and then environment. So we found a city called Baguio. This city we live in right now is actually a city that the Americans built
Ah, okay.
during the colonization period. This
Okay.
is the city that they consider the summer capital
Oh, wow. Okay.
because we're 5,000 feet above sea level. It's much, much cooler than the entire tropical country.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And outside of us is actually pine dotted, and then we have tree ferns and fog, and about I'd say springtime weather or all year long.
Okay.
Right now it's about 60 degrees.
Beautiful.
And so by the time sun comes out, probably about 68 to 70, maybe even 73 sometimes.
Hmm.
And so for the most part, most people that live here originally are indigenous people. And the Americans pretty much figured to come this way. Now, segue to the gayness, okay?
Right.
We moved to Manila and there was no gay bear group.
Mm. Okay.
So guess what? We started it. There were a few Filipino Americans that started sending me uh, friends to connect with who may identify as bears. And so we started meeting with them and started introducing them to the whole bear scene. And we would host parties and let them know who the bears are.
Wow.
In fact, one funny story I have for you is Dan Brown, a friend of ours from Germany, has a big house with a huge pool. And so he said, "Hey, let me host a party." So we come over. A bunch of our other friends were ahead and they started greeting people as you come in. We came
Mhm.
in a little bit about not that late, but we were a little bit late because we had to pick up some more beer. And
Okay.
as we came in, they said, "Oh, okay, welcome to the party. I hope you brought swimming trunks with you. This is a pool party." And Kevin and I looked at each other. We are like, "Yeah, we came for the pool party, but we didn't bring any trunks. This is a bear party." And so Dan Brown and us were the only ones that came in all in the full naked, and everybody else is wearing like t-shirts and shorts. And I was saying, "OMG, okay, what are you hiding that we have not seen already, or like we don't have?"
Right.
so So apparently they have not been introduced to how bears actually have parties,
Hmm.
you know? And they would have, those McDonald's kids. Kids
Happy
go to
Meals?
McDonald's and play, right? Yeah,
Okay. Huh?
the play center. Okay, one of them was
Oh.
a host for McDonald's, and he started hosting this little parlor games. And I'm like, no, no, no. So the rest of us ended up in the bedroom while the rest of them were actually playing party games. And we're like, okay, this is a work in progress.
Uh-huh.
So we finally left and moved to Baguio. And when we got here, there was a gay church, the MCC church.
Yes. Oh, wow. Yeah.
They have one here, and the pastor and his partner uh, have about 8 of them in the entire church. So there's not much.
Okay.
When we got here, this is what 2014.
Okay.
And so I guess part of our advocacy is to first build our own business. So we have the business going on at this point, 2 years in, and we
Mhm.
started sponsoring in a small percentage at that point, to a point where by 2016 we were the biggest sponsor of this Pride Parade
Oh,
in
wow.
Baguio.
Yeah.
Okay, so from a Pride Parade in 2014 of about less than 100 people, this past June there's about 4,000.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
Okay, so we got here without a community, and now we do have a community. What it is the city has a bunch of universities,
Okay.
and in the time we've been here, we've advocated enough that they should have their own gay groups or gender offices,
Hmm.
uh, and our success is pretty much that most universities now have their DEI is what most common right now. Their DEI offices now all over, and including get this the Philippine Military Academy, which is the premier military academy in the Philippines, which is in this area, and they also have their own gender desk, and they also accept queer cadets now.
Wow. That's wonderful.
self-identifying queer people. You
Wow.
know,
Yeah. Wow.
so we're moving in the right direction. I don't know about the United States, but here we are actually getting to a progress where it's leaps and bounds in the last 5 years. So the big question now that's overhanging is, when are we going to have gay marriage?
Mm-hmm.
Which we've been petitioning left and right for it. Okay, I think we're gravitating towards what domestic partnership
Mm-hmm. Yep.
instead of gay marriage, because we are such a Catholic country, and
Okay.
the friction is the part where they say marriage is just, for men and women.
Right.
Because it's a Catholic country, it's harder for us to navigate that route.
Right.
And so we're gearing towards domestic partnership, and that's what we're expecting coming on, if not with this current president, who actually himself declared that he will sign anything that comes out of the Senate in terms of marriage. So if it's domestic partnership or social relationship that you want,
Mm-hmm.
that's fine. I will sign it. And they will not prosecute anyone as far as deportation, or, when you have intermarriages with different citizens from different countries,
Right.
and that this country is open and welcoming. So,
Ah.
segue to my new project, which is my gay agenda is pretty much on the right path.
Uh-huh.
Is now gay retirement tourism.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Perfect
Yes.
segue.
And that's probably why you saw me in one of the chat groups. I think it was the 60 and over group.
I think it was right. Mm-hmm.
Uh, and my husband and I were early adopters of the "Where Do Gays Retire" podcast, also,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
where
Fine.
queer couples talk about where they live and why that place is where they chose to live.
Right.
And here I am telling you all, hey, our city and our country will be probably one of the biggest gay mecca in the next 10 years.
Wow.
Because a bunch of my friends from Dallas are considering coming here, and the project I'm working on right now, um, unbeknownst to me, the lawyer that we hired back in 2014, her family is landed, and they're part of the indigenous group here in Baguio, and
Mhm.
they own land, a lot of land, like 123 hectares.
Okay. What does that
That's bigger
mean?
than a golf course.
Okay.
And so, talk about a retirement community for bears and gays. And so that's what we're working on right now. And so my volunteer work right now with the government in tourism uh, will segue into that, starting from last year, actually. And so far, I've gotten uh, the very first award was for tourism, contributions to tourism 2 years ago, and
Mm-hmm.
then this year I got an award for gay leader icon or something.
That's wonderful, Albert. Congratulations.
Yeah, and our mayor is the one that hands this to me. So I'm like, okay, that's how gay the city is. The
Wow.
mayor gives you an award for being the queer icon.
Outstanding. That is just outstanding. And
Right.
how and you and your husband own a bed and breakfast now, correct? And you're in
Right.
the process of
Okay.
writing a couple of books and
Yes. So
yeah.
then you ask, why Baguio? What's it to me? Okay, this
Mhm.
is where I tell you the deeper layer of my gayness.
Okay.
Back in the day, there's a place here called Camp John Hay. It's a military base by the Americans back in the day,
Okay.
where only military dependents and, of course, families will be able to go. And it's a rest and recreation site.
Okay.
So they have cottages, beautiful cottages built in the 30s. But this has been uh, a camp since 1904.
Mm. Okay. Wow.
Very old.
Long.
Okay, and it's historic. The U.S. Embassy actually has its own building in there. The ambassador would come there. It's the summer residence of the U.S. ambassador.
Mhm.
Which, by the way, Kevin and I have been invited to separately from the government.
Uh-huh.
So before I you go any further, let me just tell you this little tidbit. Um, Somehow, somewhere in the U.S. Embassy, they found out that there's this American chef that does the best pie. So we make apple pies, pecan pies, etc.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Anyway, we get bulk orders, and of course, this is from the food hailing service. So we didn't really know who was receiving this. Okay, they
Mhm.
just buy it online. Okay, so on occasion, we would have a bunch of orders, like 10 pies at one time. Um, and then we find out that we're being invited to the U.S. Embassy, and we're like, why are we being invited? You know,
Mhm.
as in
Right.
private citizens being invited. So we were all dressed up and everything. We got there, and while we were talking gleefully with the ambassador and her husband, who happens to be from Northeast Texas, where
Oh,
pecans are the thing.
right.
He's like, you have the best pecan pie, better than what I've had in the United States. And I'm
Wow.
like, oh, so you're the guys that order the pies? Oh yeah, we order pies from you guys. Aha!
Oh,
That's when
wow.
we realized the reason for the invite is because they wanted to meet us because we make the pies that they serve for their guests at the U.S. Embassy.
What a coup. That's
You
fantastic.
know?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Uh-huh.
that's the aside. Now,
So that's uh-huh.
we,
So that's kind of launched into your B&B?
yeah. Mhm.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
So back in the 90s, when I was dating this friend of mine, uh, we couldn't be out because my dad was a general and
Okay.
his dad was also a general.
Uh, mhm.
And so we would hide from everybody else by going inside a camp
Okay.
and stay there for weekends. And then
Okay.
the rest of the time, well, we were just, amongst our friends, we were just friends. But
Right.
a few of my intimate friends knew that I was gay.
Okay.
And they had asked me if I was gay. And they've always wondered if this friend of mine is gay. And I said, wait a minute, I can't answer that for you. You'd have to ask him.
Mhm.
You know, of course, at this point, he was also in New York because he followed me back in the mid 90s. He followed me in New York. Ended up finishing culinary school and ended up working for one of the. Have you heard of Nobu restaurant?
Yes, I have. Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. He was the executive chef of Nobu.
Okay. Wow.
And being that his boss
Big
is actually a
connection.
Japanese guy, he couldn't come out.
Okay. Mm.
So he would come visit me in St. Louis. He used to visit me in Virginia, and he just couldn't come out. So I told him, well, when I moved to St. Louis, I finally came out, and everybody else beyond our immediate friends knew I was gay. And he decided, to pretty much stay in the closet
Mhm.
uh, until his girlfriend at that point passed away. So girlfriend passes away, and he decided, okay, he's gonna touch base with me. At this point, I was already with Kevin,
Okay. Mhm.
who happens to be my husband now. So, so in the recent past, this 2018, he reached out and said, "I'm coming back to Baguio to see you. Would that be okay?" I said, "Sure." So this is out of the blue for like about 8 years of not chatting with each other because now I'm married. Uh, he says, I'm coming to see you. Okay. All right. So he's going to come and see me. We were talking until about March of 2018.
Mhm.
He was supposed to come see me in July, which is right now, July. Then he dies 2 weeks before coming here.
Oh my gosh, that's awful.
Yeah, he was supposed to be meeting Kevin for the first time. Him being the executive chef of Nobu, and then of course we have a restaurant. So he's like, he says, "Well, I missed my opportunity. I guess you were after a chef all along."
Wow. And so really your journey in coming out was very um fluid because you thought, I mean, it just kind of felt natural to you, it sounded like, right?
To me, it is, yes. It always has been natural for me to be open about sexuality. So
Mhm.
the only reason I didn't come out sooner is perhaps because I didn't have a role model and tell me it's okay to be gay and still be masculine.
Mhm. Right.
Okay. So I
Yep.
was taunted as a kid. People, like my dad, for instance, um, in spite would tell me that you're gay, and I'm like, yes, I am gay, well, I see now why he didn't want me to be gay is because he says you might have problems, in the real world.
Uh,
Apparently not.
Apparently not.
But
Apparently you
tell you
did
what,
just
yeah, I wonder now what it would have been like if I was actually in my work life. I was actually in the Philippines.
Mm, mhm,
So, learning from my Filipino friends now, apparently a bunch of them are still repressed from coming out because of the type of company they work for. So it's not them, perhaps, it's probably the company they keep. And then the rest of them are because of their family being so conservative. So, them being bears, to them, it might be an easier thing to come out as a bear than to come out as a gay man or to come out as trans. Um,
mhm,
because some of them are actually larger men, but very femme.
mhm,
And maybe if given the right opportunity, they might be their true self and become trans at some point.
yeah,
So here we're advocating for acceptance and like we have one person that his parents he says do not know he's gay and I'm like, dude, who are you trying to kid? Your parents are not dumb. They see
yeah.
you hang out with us and we're like the gayest thing ever in Baguio. Well, it's up to them, but he still hasn't come out to them and I'm like, at your own pace, we're here for you. It's now 9 years and he's been hanging out and driving our car during the pride parade, so at some point, a camera will be focused on him.
Sometimes people, right? Parents might know, they don't want
uh
to
Right.
acknowledge
So
it
the
publicly.
biggest, the biggest thing I'd like to impart with anyone that's listening to this in the Philippines, perhaps, or maybe in other countries, is
Yeah,
just be yourself.
right.
You know, be yourself, and if that means people will taunt you, then just focus on who you really are, because hiding becomes an even bigger problem for you in the future. Because I wish that I had a mentor when I was much, much younger, so I can actually be more aware of who I am, and probably would have influenced more people along the way to come out as well. Uh,
Mm,
it's a big change between moving from the United States to here. What other driving force was there? Well, for instance, even if I speak this way, and even if I am a bear and pass off as a man, a straight man for the general public,
mhm,
um, knowing that I am brown and gay in the United States has always been a problem for me.
mhm,
And
mm,
so the decision between my husband and I to choose the Philippines was partly because of that. Because of all places, we were in Dallas. Yes, it's friendly in Dallas. Outside of Dallas,
Not so
I don't
much.
think so.
Yeah. Right. Not so much.
And even in Arkansas, where Kevin is from,
Hmm.
his uncle was in the first 5 minutes of our conversation, meeting his uncle for the very first time. He says, "Just don't go over that direction on their street. Just don't go any further." Because apparently, according to Kevin, the bunch of them are part of the Ku Klux Klan.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
these are his immediate family. So I'm like, oh, okay.
Mhm. Wow. And you don't get that now where you are. You don't feel.
No,
Mhm.
not at all. In fact, here, like I said earlier,
Mhm.
I've gotten 2 awards from the mayor
Yeah, that's outstanding.
for being queer,
Mhm.
okay, and for tourism. But I'm pushing for gay tourism. So
Right. Well, congratulations, Albert. I mean, it sounds like you have, I mean, other than wishing that you had had a mentor, I mean, so many of our community are in the same experience the same thing. They kind of felt like it, but didn't have a role model, and so didn't know, right? And
that's right.
but the happy part is that you're there now, right?
Yes, and I'm hoping that a bunch of our friends would finally retire. Um, I am turning 62 this year, and the rest of us are about my age or younger, 58, 55, right now. And so they're starting to look, they follow because we have our own group where we post things that goes on. So,
Mhm.
just my daily life as a gay couple here in Baguio City. And they see that, and hopefully that would be convincing enough for them that this is something they really have to consider. Um, Cost of living is definitely cheaper. Just the cost of a Big Mac is what we go with. The Big Mac here comes out to about less than $3.
Oh,
How
wow.
much is a Big Mac in your neighborhood?
Oh, it's probably like up to 7, $8 right now.
Exactly, right? You
Right.
know? And
Mhm.
so whenever we post our menu prices, and they're like, man, I could even retire with just Social Security. And I'm like, yeah, here you can live like a an out gay man drinking wine in the afternoon is something you can easily do with minimum wage income in the United States and retiring here.
Wow. Wow.
You know,
Mhm.
so for those that are friends of ours back in the U.S., not all of us are actually like executives, or like in my case, I was working for American Airlines as a manager.
Mhm.
A bunch of them are retail or like uh, Home Depot kind of paychecks,
Mhm.
which is not really a lot.
Right. Mhm.
Okay, so they're probably making like what, $15 per hour or something. You
Right.
know,
That's
there's
right.
several of them. Where are they going to retire and still be gay and be able to do what they love to do?
To be
Um,
able to afford.
with limited income when you retire,
Right.
or no income for that matter. And in
Right.
fact, here there's a lot of opportunity for volunteering,
Mhm. Mhm.
or even get paid online for English. The big thing here right now for the expats is teaching English online.
Mhm.
And a bunch of the customers that they do get are either Korean, Japanese, Chinese, or even Russians
Interesting. Yeah.
for online English speaking jobs, which they could easily do from here.
Mhm.
And in the Korean case, the biggest schools we have here for Koreans, there's about 400 students at any given time. So that's a lot of Koreans wanting to learn English.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's their transition from going to high school, graduating, and then wanting to go to college. If you learn English better, then you can get into a better English speaking school and probably translate that to a job outside of Korea. So a bunch of them go to Australia, the
Mhm.
United States, or even in Europe. They have to learn a different language other than Korean.
Right.
And that's the big customer we have here right now, and they pay good money for it.
Oh, wow. You are a great spokesperson for where you are, for the city that you live in. And pronounce the name of it again. How do you pronounce it?
Um, Baguio,
Baguio. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
Baguio, yeah.
Albert, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing your story and all this information. It's really terrific. And I can't wait for the listeners to hear it.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, and regards to everybody else listening.
Yes. And don't keep your life a secret. Come out because,
Exactly right. Yeah.
yep, yep, yep. Life is too short to live in the closet.
hmm And then give back to your community, and if there isn't one, make one.
Right. Exactly. Give back to your community. If there isn't one, make one. I love that. Thank you. And if
Mhm.
you're listening and you live in a community where you are struggling to connect with someone or find a safe space for your LGBT community, then you can reach out to us through our website, lipservice.media, and we will do our best to connect you. So thank you so much for listening. Please keep supporting these podcasts. Thank you so much, Albert.
Thank you.